Welcome to LYLAS. If you grew up in the 90s and know what that stands for, then by default, this podcast is for you. So we're looking out for you, ladies. We've got you covered. Women, that midlife mama range, professionals, people in transition, anybody seeking balance. We're here to talk about it all. So welcome to LYLAS. I'm Jenny, one of your co-hosts, and my good friend Sarah is also here.
We are the true definition of LYLAS because, we were besties from middle school and here we are today.
That's right. Still besties in
besties.
In our 40s.
That's right. And somehow we've made it through this whole transition of life and have found ourselves in this new place and space. And so because we feel like there are other women, again, that mid 35, 45-ish range that might just kind of be realizing that we're still figuring this stuff out. We haven't got the card stamped to say that we are true adults yet, or where are we at within our careers or whatever. We're here with you. We got your back. And so, we're going to be here actually giving you our truest, most authentic, vulnerable sense of self that's going to come through. And some of that is going to be, silly. Some of it's going to be me pronouncing things incorrectly, which is going to happen all of the time. It's going to be us maybe I don't know, saying a few 4-letter words here and there. We'll try to keep it clean. But again, we're just really reaching out to share with you some of our stories and to be as truthful, honest, vulnerable with you along our path and journey. And hopefully that'll help you along yours. But also we're going to be looking for tips for you all to help us out too, right?
That's right. We're looking just for that personal connection, but also just having fun and discussing all the good that we have going on, all the fun, our interests, and then the yucks, because the yucks, unfortunately, there seem to be plenty of them for our age group, and we all have them going on. And so we're just here to really talk about it and put it out there and hopefully have some listeners that can relate and get some of that human contact that we so desire. But also here to share some resources, some things that we have found that have helped us, both being mental health professionals and moms and wives, people in transition, trying to transition into different parts of our career or just different times in our lives. We're here to share some of those resources as well. So we've got lots and lots of topics to cover. I know when I would tell people I'm doing this podcast with my middle school bestie, they're like, oh, what's it about? And at first I had a hard time. I'm like him hauling around, this. And then I just started saying it's about mental health. I mean, because it is. That's what so much of our lives revolves around, is our mental health. And even in the car this morning with my son, he said, Mom, what is mental health? And I had to break it down for a 7-year-old, that, it's not something you can necessarily see, but it's the way that we talk to ourselves all day, every day.
That's right.
And so really want to be able to talk about these things openly and destigmatize just all the things that we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great way to put it, is that, again, we're just being authentic, but with the other side piece is that we're really just trying to destigmatize all of those things that really contribute to those yuck places we find ourselves in, while also embracing, honoring, supporting, and nurturing the good and the fun, and that's really making sure that we, at this stage of the game in particular, really make efforts to incorporate that into this place in our life right now. And so we do have some really great hot topics that we're going to be talking and sharing with you guys. And again, we want this to be so interactive and engaging. And so on our social media and our websites, which we'll talk about later, we're going to want your feedback. We're going to want your suggestions because we want this to be open. We want this to be open to the world. And here we go. Right?
That's right. We want to cover the things that we're interested in, but also that any of our listeners might be interested in as well. So lots about mental health, obviously, having been both psychologists, in different realms, but mental health is certainly something that we're both fairly well versed in.
Yeah.
Sarah certainly more than me, but lots of good takeaways from that. And just, I can certainly relate with struggling with mental health. I feel like most of my life I've struggled with it to some degree. And so certainly have that personal aspect to share. Also,
Mhm.
just being a mom and all the mom pressure and guilt, whatever you want to call it, all the mental load, that seems to be kind of the buzzword right now. But there is so much that we carry as moms, and
Mhm.
you put a career on top of that, and
Yeah.
it just, it's hard. There's no two ways around it. I don't care who you
Mhm.
are. It's hard. So
Mhm.
talking about our home life, but also our professional struggles, our own health. At some point, we want to get into loss. I think a lot of people
Mhm.
in our age category are dealing with either aging parents, or they've lost a parent, or maybe an
Yeah.
important friendship has ended. We can all relate to that on some level, that things are shifting, and lives,
Mhm.
are ever evolving. And that is a huge part for, I feel like, us in our
Definitely.
in midlife time.
Mhm.
And so then talking about a lot of the things that we love, or that we have found to help us through some of these
Mhm.
difficult times in our lives. And that can be anything from self-care and meditation, which I'm a big fan of, but also medications and how those might impact you, or talking about, if medication is something that is appropriate
Mhm.
for us. I just going down the rabbit hole. There's so much, but things that we also enjoy, like
Mhm.
travel is a big one for one of us. Well, for both of us, but I would say it's Sarah's
Yeah.
area of expertise. We certainly want to get into our hobbies and healthy lifestyles, all the strategies and
Mhm.
things that we're using. So many topics. When we sat down to list them out, I was like, that was also a concern. Are we going to have anything to talk about? And then I started listing things, and I'm like, I could go on for days. There's so much
Yeah.
to talk about. So that's just a snippet of what you'll hear this
Mhm.
season on LYLAS, but we're looking forward to getting into it and getting real from the get go.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you were able to take some time and really list out some of the things that we're talking about. But again, it's just going to be open to different places and things we see happening within our lives. From step parenting to relationships
Mm,
to, yeah, to sharing just coping with the day-to-day functions of being a mom, or the balance that kind of comes with it. Fun things that we've done, new things that we're trying to help out with self-care, a bunch of cool stuff. So
yeah,
it's totally going to
so
be
much.
enjoyable. Yeah, yeah. So we hope we're going to stay current. We're also going to throw some old spice back in there because oldies are goodies, and so we want to keep it real. And with that, I think that we want to share,
Mm,
and that includes resources. So on our website and on our social media, if you hear Jen talking about a really cool resource that might help your kids at home, like with ADHD or with social skills type based training, or what her area of expertise is, then we're going to load that stuff up too. So that way you have access to it. We're going to do fun segments, right?
right.
So, and
Segments that are practical for everybody to use.
yes, ma'am. And so, some of these segments might be teaching some of the different grounding strategies that we use, or some different relaxation or gratitude practices. Some of it might be fun stuff that you do with your kids, you know?
That's right.
It could be the things that we really like and enjoy and think that are pretty cool and we want to share with you, or it could even be suggestions that you've given us that now we want to, throw out there again to the world, so that way you guys can kind of give a try. But we really want this to be something fun to listen to and hear and relatable, but also something that you could practically use within your daily life. And we're not going to throw anything out there that we don't do. So,
Absolutely.
right. Now, my stuff might be a little on edge. Um, but I swear to God, I never tell anybody to do something I wouldn't do. That's
That's
my
right.
vow to myself. So, whatever.
Well, and I think we too both just hope to have a community of misfit moms, as we like to say,
Yes.
like the island of misfit toys. We're the island of misfit moms,
Right.
and so really having some sort of community here that we can come back to, and again find resources, talk about the hard stuff, at least open up the conversation to talk about things that can be difficult to talk to your girlfriends about. Sarah and I have like a no holds bar. Uh, we talk about it all, and there's nothing off limits when it comes to our friendship or
Yeah.
our discussion. So we thought, why not bring that to the world in the form of a podcast? Because why
No
not put
danger
all
there.
your laundry out there? No, but it's okay to talk about these things, and we're here to show that, to practice what we preach. We're going to talk about it all. So
Yeah.
the good, the fun, and the yucks.
Absolutely. And I like what you said is that, and hopefully you guys can hear this too in the way we kind of even play back with one another, is that we really have that kind of relationship where it's like, all right, girlfriend, like this is what's going on in my life right now. Help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've certainly made that phone call. And it's also just like support. Like Jen is the ultimate like cheerleader with all of this, and that's again what we want to kind of come across for all of you. And just to kind of give you, I guess, our background and why we're the LYLAS that we're kind of throwing out there. LYLAS.
You always say it wrong. See, first time, authentic self right here.
100%.
Can't even say the name right, dear.
Can't, won't. It's who knows? We're going to get through. She's put up with this since middle school, so it's not like this is new.
Right. Half of our notes were spelled incorrectly, but all it's fine.
Today, text messages still spelled incorrectly. Not helping that little line that says incorrect. Nope.
Can't see it.
Nope, it's not there. So I guess about our friendship, yeah. So why are we doing this like together?
Well, why are we doing this together? Because we've been friends forever, for one. We've been best friends since middle school. And the other day I was thinking about like, we've had a long distance friendship, longer than we lived near each other.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we've been long distance friends for almost 20 years at this point. So, I mean, that's just a lot. The fact that like how many relationships can keep up 500 miles apart. I think that we do a pretty good job of that, of always like keeping in touch. And anyway, we've remained friends for this long. Both psychologists, like I said, different realms. I'm a school psychologist by trade. Sarah is a clinical and health psychologist by trade. Both moms, both wives. And both of us, surprisingly, found ourselves in like a place of transition at the same time, having not even discussed it with one another.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
That was fun.
Decided to shift in our careers and at the exact same time. So it just kind of feels like it's meant to be.
Yeah, like our relationship, and you use this word a lot, is like very organic, like in its progression and its closeness. And even in what we're doing, like with our podcast, it's just this organic evolution that we've allowed and been open for it to kind of give it space and keep it connected and contained. And that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
It really is. It's been very easy so far. I mean, it's pretty easy just to FaceTime your friend and talk for an hour. But, but this feels different and it's exciting.
And again, this is something that, hopefully you guys will be able to kind of relate to, because even though we're besties, we're different in some ways. We kind of have a nice yin and yang to each other. Right? I'll be walking 100%. Down the street, pick up a piece of trash and just turn it into a craft. So
something beautiful.
Right. Just for the hell of it. So
random and so true. She just did that the other night. That's Sarah in a nutshell.
Right.
But like we said, we both are kind of found ourselves in this this transition in our career. And to give you some background here, I was a school psychologist for the last 15 years here in a neighboring district. I live in Charleston County in South Carolina, and worked one district over for the last 15 years. But I worked in a pretty high or pretty low SES. So many needs. A lot of these families had been in generational poverty, and it just brought a whole different weight to everything that we did. And I managed it for a long time. I managed the stress of that job for a long time, I thought fairly well. And then COVID came and just obliterated everything that we did. And it just made things so much more difficult. I think you talk to anybody that works in education or healthcare, they would agree with you. It just made everything so much harder than it had to be. And there were certainly some catalysts that got to the point where I decided to resign altogether. But for me, I was just really struggling with keeping all the balls in the air, trying to be a full-time school psychologist and a mom, and kind of keep up with this idea that I had in my head of what I wanted my kids' childhood to look like, and be the perfect wife and stay in shape and do all the things. And I was just kind of like, wow. And just unhappy is where it ultimately fell. I just was unhappy. And so very lucky to have a husband that noticed these things in me and said, why don't you take a year off and just sort of like enjoy our children for like a year? And so here I am, in the middle of that year. I'm about 6 months in and loving my life every single day. So I'm excited to try something new. Certainly feels vulnerable to put yourself out there and to talk about things that people generally keep for their best friends or their close confidants. But for me, I'm excited to give it a go and to try something different and see where it takes us. So stay at home mom here. And I got 2 kids, 1 7, 1 4. My son Jack is 7. He's in 2nd grade. My daughter is 4, and she spends part day at a daycare. And I'm just living that stay at home mom life, which is still work. Don't get me wrong. My days are still plenty busy, but I'm so grateful for this time, and I'm so enjoying it.
Yeah, it does seem like it's just come to you. I mean, I know you say it's like a struggle, but it just seems like it's come to you so naturally, and it's just been so filling for that cup. So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. It was in the beginning, it was just hard because I had worked my whole life, to work I was like 14 and had jobs, so this has been the first time in my life where I just didn't have a place I had to be. I didn't have a job. So that transition was a little bit of a struggle, but I feel like I have hit my stride and doing just fine.
Amen to that, right? Gosh, that's good to be able to embrace them. It's good to be able to say it, just be again thankful in that moment with it. So fun and so cool. And those kids are a joy.
They are. They're fun.
I love them. Oh gosh. Well, I guess for me, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background, as Jen said, we're both psychologists. My path was just a little bit different. I knew from an early age that I could not, there's a certain age range that I'm really good at, and that doesn't happen to be itty bitties. And so I went down a clinical and health psychology path. And so I got my doctorate within those areas, and my residency and subsequent training have all been within the realm of health almost. And so even though I have this clinical area of expertise that a lot of my interventions and training kind of come from, really it's all about just understanding your body's physiology and the interface that happens between your medical and mental and just self as it expands out there to the world. And so I work within an integrated practice. I have the majority of my career, so like 15 plus years, I've worked within a primary care based setting. So having those physician friends down the hallway has been a nice counterbalance to what I do and the kind of patients that I would see. And I see adolescents through, the age and enjoy a big piece of that. But it's a place that I feel for multitude of different reasons that I need to kind of transition my way out of, but have no idea what I'm transitioning into, which is great. So we'll see where that ends up. I mean, do you know what I've always wanted to be? I think that maybe you know this, since I was like a child, like my number one quest. Oh, close. A puppeteer. Like a hand puppet.
There's something to do with that.
Yes. So I might have a like Sesame Street like thing going on, right? Just weird stuff. I know. Who does that?
You never cease to amaze me. You really don't. You're like
Ugh, a
Most interesting
mess.
person I know.
A mess, constant. But no, so it's one of those places where I'm just trying to like figure out that next kind of space. So I actually have transitioned my careers, like what Jen said. We did this about at the same time without even really touching
Yeah.
base. So that's like, again, like our lives kind of have these weird like intersects at different points. And so I'm still working. I'm part-time, but I don't take on any new folks, and I'm just moving my way out, like transitioning out. And everybody that knows me knows that that's a piece of things, but we just don't know necessarily where that inroad is or where it's going to go. And so that's kind of what, I'm sharing within this, is that it's difficult to make that mid-career, midlife change. And into what uncertainty are we kind of going within? And with that, I bring along 2 kids and a husband. So for me, and you'll hear more about my story later, but on divorce, I'm divorced on marriage 2. This is the last one. We're good. This is the
Second time's the
forever.
charm.
Yes, ma'am. So this is the forever. But I have he'll be 19-year-old son.
Wild.
God, I know. Ugh, makes me feel old to say that, but then I have to put myself in perspective and be like, I was the young mom. And so I
Right,
still
you
feel
are
okay about it. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first mom out of the friend group.
That's right. And then I thought for a long period of time, like, I'm going to be like totally like in your all's face making fun of you. Like, haha, mine's off to college and you're like in elementary school. Well,
That's right.
that didn't work out too well, did it? Nope. So I have a 8-year-old bonus daughter that came
That's
with this
right.
package. And so, back in the same ship with you guys. Who knew? Again, our lives have intersected
Yeah,
again.
that's right. My birthday twin.
That's right. Yeah. So I bring an aspect of that maybe to this, is like, how do we kind of like manage these different relationships at different points of time in life? And I'm a different mom to him than I am to her, that I was to him at that age. And so it's like these weird things that like happen whenever you find yourself in these places. And it's just kind of continuing to manage that along with everything else. And so we'll kind of see where this whole story like unfolds to, because we don't know either. So you guys are like a part with the book, right? We're
That's
writing
right.
the book
As we go.
Yeah.
No, I
So
find it,
we'll see.
I can relate to that just in, you're like, I've given this advice for years to parents about, child, rearing, however you want to say it, like just given
Mhm.
advice in terms of school and parenting tips. And
Mhm.
then you have your own kids and you're like, oh, you're living all of the advice that you've been giving over the years. It's totally interesting to then have
Mhm.
your own and then to try to use your own advice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but
Yeah.
it's very humbling. I'll say that.
It is. And it's an accountability check too,
That's
right?
right. It
Yeah.
is.
So I mean, I really try. Like, I can't be preaching and not walking it,
That's right.
so
Do a great job of walking the
oh,
walk, though.
well, it's because it creates so much yuck that for me, it's just easier to be like, you know what? I just got to walk this. I got to walk through it. I got to walk with it. I got to walk something, because if I stand still, it's going to get gross. I'm not there. I'm not able to. I don't like gross.
No,
I don't like the
no,
yucks.
don't like the yucks, but we've, I think, gotten pretty good at figuring out how to get through them. We've had enough at this point. We've had some good experience with the yucks, and somehow we seem to move through them. So that gives us some kind of street cred, right?
It has to, right? I mean, and if not, we're just going to keep on doing it. You guys could just watch the train wreck as it kind of unfolds. Derailing one car at a time, perhaps.
That's
but
right.
yeah, I mean, everybody looks, so why not? But like that's us, right?
It's us in a nutshell. And we're both married to Jeffs. We should point that out, because you're going to hear both of us say Jeff, and Sarah's married to a Jeff. I'm also married to a Jeff. So no surprise, because we used to fight over a boy in high school.
Oh yeah.
And somehow maintained friendship, even, fighting over the same boy. So funny enough that we would both end up with men named Jeff.
Oh my gosh, it is. That's a great point. Yeah, who would have ever thought? So it's fun when all four together and it's like, hey, Jeff, or I always call my husband Babe, so it makes it a tiny bit easier, but it's still so confusing.
It is. It's so fun. We had so much fun this weekend. Sarah came down to visit, and it's just easy and fun. She makes me laugh harder than maybe most people. So hopefully we get to hear, right?
I said, thank God.
A lot of the fun too, even though this is a mental health based type of podcast, we are going to have so much fun on here and we're going to laugh a lot. So I hope you'll join us for this ride, see how this ends. But you can catch us in the meantime. You can catch us on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, both the LYLAS podcast. And also our website is theLYLASpodcast.com. So catch us on there. We're going to have tons, like we said, tons of resources, video clips, our bios. If you want to get to know us a little more, you're going to hear way more about us. If you listen to more episodes, kind of go in depth in the next couple episodes, but catch us on our website.
Yes. And we're on YouTube too, the LYLAS podcast on YouTube. So many different ways to kind of stay connected, stay up to date, to hear what our topics are, to hear what we're into, to get suggestions from you guys. And again, we want this to be so interactive because things are so much better when shared. And whether that's at a dinner table with a glass of wine or, sharing information, the resources, or just having the validation that you're going through something and it's okay. And so that's really like a big sense of what we want to kind of bring to this table too. And we really just hope that everybody will dive in with us. And as Jen said, our next few episodes, you'll get to know a little bit more about each one of us and then give you some ideas about where we're going to be heading in the future. And so it's going to be a fun ride, fun journey. So be sure to check us out on all of those different venues. And we're excited to start this with each other.
Right? That's right. We are. We're very excited. We hope you're excited too. So catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you can upload podcasts. You should be able to find us.
So we kept this one short and sweet as a teaser because we want you to come back.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get down in it, boys. So
that's right.
Get those shoes and boots on. Here we go.
That's right. All right. Until next time, LYLAS.
Peace.